Hare Krishna. The senses are so strong, O Arjuna, that they can forcibly carry away the mind even of a man of discrimination who is endeavoring to control them. This is Bhagavad Gita, 2nd chapter, 60th shloka. So, in the purport, Srila Prabhupada, our Acharya, he is saying that there are many learned sages, philosophers, and transcendentalists who try to conquer the senses, but in spite of their endeavors, even the greatest of them sometimes fall victim to material sense enjoyment due to the agitated mind. So, this agitated mind has three functions: thinking, feeling, and willing. So, everything starts with mind. When there is a fight between two countries, the enemies have to be recognized. So they go and see where the enemies are trying to attack. What is their strategic point? Where are they waiting to attack us? In India and Pakistan, some war, Kargil point, they were going to their base camps to see where the enemies they can go and fight, means after that they cannot retaliate. So the one country soldiers, they go and bomb the enemy camps because that is their strategic point. So in the yogi's mind or a practitioner's mind, one has to recognize where is the enemy sitting. And in the Bhagavad Gita, we come to know the enemy within us is lust. And this lust has some strategic points, and that points are our own senses. And our own senses are controlled by mind. So lust will go and sit there. So the yogi or a practitioner is advised to control his senses and mind. The mind cannot be wandering everywhere, and when we say I am sitting in meditation, I close my eyes and then say I am a very controlled yogi, then we are called as pretenders. In the Bhagavad Gita, if you are externally trying to show that you are a great personality, but internally you are trying to be with your enemy, Mr. Lust, then you are considered to be a pretender. Last week we were discussing with a group of students about Ramayana. And few students started asking, what is wrong about Sita being kidnapped by Ravan? He liked Sita, he carried and went away. So of course they never told in their name, they told that their friends are arguing like this. So nowadays, if you like something, you should take it. What is wrong in it? Like I like an apple, I eat it. What is wrong in it? I like to go and take pizza from pizza shop. I go, I order and I take. What is wrong? Yeah, it is nothing wrong. If you want, you can go and take an apple or a pizza and you can eat. But suppose you go to a shop, you order a pizza, then you carry without paying the person, then you are considered a thief. So now this Mr. Lust who is sitting within our senses, that senses are dictating us. You like apple, you go and eat. You like pizza, you go and eat. But you have to do payment, sir. Without doing payment, how will you take? That payment is that you have to pay tapasya. You have to do some hard work for it. Without doing hard work, whatever you eat will not get digested. Similarly, whatever you want, you cannot take. This body is not a dustbin, you go a garbage bin. You keep on dumping something, and your body should be very neat and clean. It should be very hygienic. Your mind is also not one more garbage. You can think something, you keep on dumping something, your garbages, your lust and greed, lobha, kama, lobha. All these are considered to be enemies for us. What is wrong? What did Raman do? He wanted, he went and brought her. So one more point is, we are talking something about 2 millenniums, like 2 yugas back, where the Rakshasas, the Asuras, they also had some culture. In our school books we learn that the much older the story of our earth, the much older people were uncivilized. But in Vedic literature we come to know, but in the previous ages, the demons also were cultured. In the Satya Yuga, people were more learned. They are more controlled. We have actually degraded. Sometimes in archaeological evidences they find 5 million years old skull of a Homo sapien, of a human being. Human skull, that discoveries were found at that time also, 5 million years back. So the so-called description of early man, much before Homo sapien, 3000 years back, 5000 years back, 50,000 years back, that we are getting advanced according to Darwin's theory of anthropology, of evolution, of what he is given, that we have been evolved from an uncivilized body to a civilized body. So we are going on changing our mind body systems, and we are becoming more and more super beings, and one day maybe we'll do like this and we can fly up, and like Superman we can fly. These kind of things we would have learned in 5th standard, 6th standard, that we'll become a superhuman being. But no, superhuman being is not in consider that how much you can fly high in the air. The superhuman being were how they were able to get out of this bondage of lust, greed and cheating tendencies, how to conquer over lust. Lust is considered to be a punishment for a soul who has rejected the order of the Lord, the obedience of the Lord, and we are forced to come to this material world. And in this material world, we suffer. Just like a prisoner, a criminal is put in a jail and he is tied either in a jail or he is tied with chains and they are put into jail. So now you don't require any such kind of entanglement. Lust is so easy that you just put that lust in the heart. You are already been encaged. You don't need to say, you are so much controlled. So in those ages, even demons used to follow certain principles. It was not a great character. In Dwapar Yuga, when Karna was giving away in charity, that is considered to be very high. In the previous, much more before ages, like Ravana kidnapped Sita, but he never tried to touch her. Ravana had a curse that if he tries to force somebody, then he will be killed. He will die. He was cursed. So there are so many principles, either by their own curse or by, it is not an advanced character of Ravana not to touch Sita. He was fearful of Sita. Not like today, modern days, what they see, okay, I like, so I took. We are not animals. Like there is some dog going, she dogs are going, and 10 male dogs go behind it. So even in a movie or a song, if one girl is going and 10 men are going behind her and there is a dance, and we think that is civilized. But actually, if you see, there is no difference, if you think logically, between one she dog going and 10 male dogs going behind that dog, and that dogs are all making sound, go, gur, 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 they are fighting with each other to get that one dog. So how much they are entangled in that lust. So if you are saying you are advanced, you are civilized, you should be a little more better than that. Your consciousness should be more better. If you go to any towns, pilgrimage towns like Vrindavan or Jaipur, or if you notice some monkeys, they come near kitchen, from the window they grab and take and run away. If we say we are advanced human beings and we also do the same thing, so where is civilization? So if we are behaving like animals and like we quote, no, even they, like Ravan was a very good person because he kidnapped Sita but he did not do anything to her. So what are we talking about? Ravan was a Pandit, definitely he was a Pandit. So all learned people, you don't respect a person because they are just learned. The Vedic civilization, the real advancement is to teach how much you are controlled in your mind, how much you are controlled in your dealings. That is your character. So in this shloka it is said, the senses are so strong, O Arjuna, that they forcibly carry the mind of a man of discrimination who is endeavoring to control them. Our mind is so made up, this human body is so made up, that even if you are a man of discrimination, you are discriminating things, you understand what is matter and spirit. In spite of you are trying to discriminate, still you may get carried away. So what to speak of people who have no discrimination? That is all right. Let me go and if I want something, I will go and grab it. Just like a monkey, it sees from window some fruit is there, it immediately grabs it. Or a she dog is going and 10 dogs are going, immediately they grab that she dog. And because there is 2-3 she dogs and there are 10 dogs who are following it and they are fighting with barking each other. So we say we are also very advanced now. What is wrong? If a dog can do, why can't I do? So where is civilization? Okay, why we should worry about civilization? I like it, I should grab it. I don't have any discrimination. Okay, you go and do what will happen to you? You are becoming victim of your own body and mind. Because after that what happens? You are not happy. You are into the prison of your own senses. You are in the shackles of illusion, Maya. If somebody can have lustful life and if they are happy, then everybody could have done the same thing. There was no need of spirituality, because then that is, our body is permanent and we get happiness by eating, sleeping, mating and defending. There are 4 things. So we eat, animals also eat. We sleep, animals also sleep. So why dharma? What is dharma means? We try to elevate ourselves from these bodily senses to a spiritual happiness, because we know we are not this body. We are spirit souls. So if we are this body, then we should have been there always. We all want to be young and energetic, but we become old and we die. We are not able to continue this body. We keep on planning that, oh, one day I will achieve this. Like from school days onwards, we have been thought of, you get a success, then you go to the next step. So from LKG, UKG onwards, from pre-nursery days, you will go to your high school. From high school, you can go to your college. In college, you will be successful. You can get a good job. And when you get a job, then you get married. Or you have children. Then you have to keep on growing. There is success of life. Success of life is only your struggle for existence. You are struggling hard. And by the time you realize you have become old, then we keep on lamenting, oh, my life was so nice in childhood. We had good friends, but we could never enjoy. We were always suffering. So that's why the Vedic civilization teaches us that how we can be happy by not thinking that you are this body. If you think you are this body is not there with us. After some time it will leave and go away. But you have to be thinking, no, I am there, I will live, I will stay forever. Yamadharmaraja, Yamaraj, the superintendent of death, he took a disguise of a yaksha and he came to test the Pandavas. The Pandavas were there that time in exile in the forest. And Nakula or Sahadeva, they had gone to drink water, and one by one who had gone searching for the others, they were drinking water near a pond, and finally nobody returned back, the other 4 Pandavas. So Yudhishthir, the eldest brother, he went in search of their younger brothers and he saw everybody were lying dead. So there was a yaksha, there was a person who was giving them punishment because that lake belonged to him. So you cannot drink water there. So Yudhishthir Maharaj was told that you cannot save yourself until you answer some questions. They are called Yaksha Prashna. Like we are human beings, Yakshas are higher planetary people. Generally we talk on aliens. What is this aliens? Alien means somebody you don't know, you say you are alien. Alien means somebody who is not of your own species. So there are higher species, we may not know. They may see us as aliens, we may see them as aliens. But there are higher species of life. So they are in the different planetary systems or in different dimensions. But there are higher dimensions. So there is third dimension, fourth dimension. So we cannot measure all dimensions. And in each dimension, there are calculations. The Vedic literature gives each and everything so minutely. We cannot take it away that what we study they are right and whatever we are not studying in textbooks they are all wrong. So we have to go through a particular school of thought and we have to see whether that is scientifically proved or not. And science cannot be whatever we write in our books, or it is made up by a society which is not very advanced but who claims to be that they are very advanced. That is not called science. So there are so many things to be learned. So either Ravan, if he is thinking that he is very advanced, or people right now they think Ravan is very advanced, he never touched Sita. So these children had heard that Ravan is very advanced. Ravan is worshipable because he was a learned Pandit. Ravan stole an aeroplane from Kubera. And people say that he was so advanced, he was so scientific that he made an aeroplane. Where is it written like that? In Ramayana there is nothing like that, that he was so scientific so he created an aeroplane. In Ramayana it is written that he stole aeroplane from Kubera, from the higher planets. So he could control sun, he could control moon by his own tapasya. So his tapasya can, if somebody can, by tapasya they can become God, yes, they will become like Raman. He was in the shackles of illusion, of lust, that he dared to kidnap the wife of Lord Ramachandra, who is Mother Lakshmi herself. Mother Lakshmi cannot be captured. People may think that I can keep big money in bank. I can enjoy money. So Ravan tendency means I want to enjoy sense gratification. You may try to capture and keep it with you, but you cannot enjoy. If you want to enjoy Lakshmi, you have to serve Narayan. Just like Mother Lakshmi, she is serving Narayana always very happily. She is not morose. Actually, when Ravana kidnapped Mother Sita, she started becoming very morose. She was lamenting, when can I go back to my husband? So she was always crying. But with Lord Rama, she was very happy. So you cannot become a Ravan of trying to capture Mother Lakshmi, resources, keep it with you, and then claim, I am like Ravan, I am a great man. Ravan was a great Pandit. If you are a great Pandit, how does it matter? If you are not able to control your own senses. That was the test of spirituality. That was a test of Panditya, learned sage or a learned yogi. They were tested not by how much you are having knowledge, how great are you. Have you learned 4 Vedas? Have you learned all the Puranas? Have you learned all the textbooks? That was not the test. The real test was, are you able to control your senses, your lust, greed? This was a test. Kama, Krodha, Lobha, Mada, Matsarya, enviousness. Do you feel envy on others? If somebody is glorified, are you feeling bad about it? Suppose somebody has to be glorified, your own brother, friend, if they are glorified, they are good, they are greater, they are better. Are you feeling envy on them? Or do you heartfully appreciate them? No, that's all right. They are doing well. Today I am not well, so I will also try. There's a man of discrimination who can do like that. Here very particularly it's mentioned in the verse, a man of discrimination. So, haranti prasabam manaha. By force, the mind, it can take away intelligence of a person who is even of discrimination. What to speak of people who are not of discrimination? There is no discrimination in the modern education, that what are these senses, and these senses have to be controlled. They have come to a stage of glorifying Ravan, because Ravan is a person of knowledge. Ravan was a very advanced materialistic civilization person. So materialistic people can glorify him, doesn't matter. We also glorify him for his knowledge of matter, but not of spirit. He was Brahma's, one of the Prajapati's grandson. Everybody came from Brahma only. So from them the Prajapatis, and from Prajapatis they were the whole human population was also made. But what was the purpose of it? The purpose of it was for elevating ourselves to higher consciousness and understand I am not this body, I am spirit soul. In the Satya Yuga, they used to stay for 1 lakh years. That was the life duration. And in Treta Yuga, they used to stay for 10,000 years. That was their life duration. And Dwapar Yuga, they used to stay for 1,000 years. That was their life duration. And in Kali Yuga, the maximum life duration of a human being is 100 years. When Krishna is advising Arjuna, the Bhagavad Gita, he was already a grand old man. He had crossed 100 years. By the time he had grandsons. So they used to stay for 1,000 years. That's why even you will not see Krishna and Arjuna as old people there. They are still young. But they have crossed 100 years that time. In the previous ages, during Satya Yuga and Vishwamitra Muni, he meditated for 60,000 years. Based on their life duration, the process also was given that they could go to the forest and meditate for 60,000 years. But the idea is a life of discrimination, the difference between body and spirit. Bhayantaraha Suchi means that you are Suchi externally by taking bath, by keeping taking proper food, proper spiritual remnants after offering, sattvic food. These were all good habits externally. And internally, by purifying, by meditation, by chanting the holy names of the Lord. So these were the process. Both process were there, external cleaning and internal cleaning. That was a matter of discrimination. But nowadays there is no discrimination. Anybody can do anything. In the name of advancement of science, in the name of advancement of education, they have come to a point that Ravana could steal from Kubera, that is advancement. Ravana actually wanted to put a staircase to heavenly planets without following any spiritual rules. So he was a person of materialistic civilization. His city was called Swarna Lanka. He was very advanced in materialistic civilization. So when these are description of Ravana, actually from Ramayana we come to know his associate Mahiravan was there in Brazil. And Ravan was so advanced that they had made a tunnel for 2 continents. And we know now also in Brazil there are a lot of gold remnants. They had made tunnels those days. So we think that only now we can make tunnels. We may make tunnel from one hill to the other side of the hill. And we claim to be, we are very great highways we have made, underground tunnels. Ravana had made that in Treta Yuga only. So it's not only Ravana, But those days they were so advanced. They had aeroplanes, they knew how to do underground tunnels, and he could import gold and he made Swarnalanka. Why Ravana was considered to be a demon in spite of his advancement? In spite of his advancement of materialistic civilization, of importing gold from Brazil, underground tunnel, and he made Swarnalanka. He made a golden city of Lanka. In spite of he making golden city of Lanka, Valmiki in his Ramayana describes him as a demon. Modern scholars call Ravan a great man. For what? Is it because he had an aeroplane? Was it because he kidnapped Sita? What are they recognizing greatness in him? Because he is now very famous in his kingdom. That's why it is said, a king is always glorified in his kingdom. In his Swarajyam, in his kingdom, Pujyate Raja, the king is worshipable. But Vidwan Sarvata Pujyate, Vidwan is one who is a scholar, is worshipped everywhere. He is glorified everywhere. But king is worshipped in his kingdom. So, we may be worshipable in our own kingdom. We may be a celebrity in our own place. But a person of knowledge is recognized everywhere. So Ravana is glorified in his kingdom. And people around his kingdom even now respect him because he was a person of his place. If you go to Germany, Hitler is even now respected. You go to France, Napoleon is respected. Nobody will say Napoleon went and fought with other European countries. In Germany, nobody will say Hitler was bad. So they all are worshipped. And during World War II, in Calcutta, a person worshipped Hitler. He kept his photograph and worshipped him because he got good business. Recently, in some news we heard, in one state of India, in one city, because of Donald Trump, some business he got, one businessman. So he put some garland and he worshipped him. So people may worship according to their liking. There are fans. There are fans for everybody. There are fans even for smugglers. There was one smuggler who used to do smuggling of sandalwood between 3 states in southern India, between Tamil Nadu, Kerala and Karnataka. Veerappan. So he is also worshipped among his men. So he is worshipped by other people, become a sign of success. In modern days, that may be a sign of success. Just like in Twitter, how many people you are running? How many followers you are having? In subscription you do, how many followers you have? In Facebook. These are signs of success. But in the real civilization, in advancement in Vedic civilization, the followers are not the criteria for your advancement and character. Your own knowledge. You should be a person of discrimination. A discrimination between matter and spirit. And you should be able to discriminate that I am having a temporary body. We were saying about Pandavas who were struck with Yaksha. And when Dharmaraja went also, he was asked a question. He asked, what is the most surprising, wonderful thing in this world? Like we have 7 wonders. Of course, these 7 wonders are doubtful because there are more wonderful things in this world. But whatever way they are given 7 wonders of the world, like good creations, of human being, including our India's Taj Mahal. They say it's a seventh wonder, but we don't know. There are so many nice things, but still they have given wonders. Okay, even if you take that as wonders, 7 wonders. So what is the next wonderful thing? What is the 8th wonder? So what is the most wonderful thing in this world? This was Yaksha Prashna, the question asked to Yudhishthir Maharaj. So when Yamadharmaraj in the form of Yaksha, he asked him, Yudhishthir Maharaj answered, Ahani ahani bhutani gachanti yama mandiram. Ahani ahani bhutani means there are so many living entities around us. They are all dying. Gachanti means they are going to, Yama mandiram means they are going to the place of Yamaraj. But Ashcharyam, what is this? There is one surprising thing. What is that? Everybody thinks that I will not die now. I have still time. The most surprising thing. Now, corona, pandemic, people are all dying. Like in our organization also, we saw suddenly few people died. Then again we hear from some neighbors, they also have died. In our other countries, we are seeing people are dying. But even one day, our YouTube watching movies have not stopped. Our news watching and talking on lust has not stopped. Because we think, what will affect us? Until I am there, up to the end of my life, I will involve in lust and greed and envy. Or these are the things which are considered to be success of this life. We are thinking that is real success. The real success in the Vedic civilization is you have to be having discrimination between matter and spirit. If you don't have discrimination, you will be suffering, thinking that you are this body. When body is getting little headache, we have to know how to manage it by proper regulation. There are a lot of researchers with lot of doctors, even with allopathic medicine or alternative medicines, they are saying the best way of keeping up of this body, even if you take medicines, the best way is how you should develop immunity. The best way to develop immunity is to have a sattvic way of life, which is described 5,000 years back in Bhagavad Gita. And they say this book is of mythology. Shame to speak like that. They are saying advancement of civilization. 5,000 years back in Bhagavad Gita it is said how you can have sattvic lifestyle of sleeping early, getting up in the morning, taking a sattvic food, what is good for your body, what is good for your mind. These many principles are mentioned in Bhagavad Gita, and in India when we speak on spirituality, they say we are following science and this is mythology. What is mythology? Mythology is created by Britishers a word. Myth means imagination. They created all our Vedic literatures are mythology. They don't even know what is mythology. They think that the Vedic scriptures itself are called mythology. They say Indian mythology. That's why there is science fiction that they create a mythology, but they create a fiction of science, but they present it really like science. But the Vedic knowledge, which was filled with science, filled with wisdom, they were so sober, that is all totally kept aside. And they take everything, people who are really talking about, like Krishna speaks in the Bhagavad Gita, the senses are so strong and impetuous, O Arjuna, that they forcibly carry away the mind, even a man of discrimination who is endeavoring to control them. See how thoughts are given in Bhagavad Gita. So why we should control the mind? They are given. There are severe types of penances and yoga. So you should know how to control it. like 60,000 years Vishwamitra did meditation. But he also got carried away. Here it is mentioned that even Vishwamitra, a great sage and a perfect yogi, was misled by Menaka into sex enjoyment. Although the yogi was endeavoring for sense control with severe ties of penances and yoga practice. And of course, there are so many similar instances in the history of the world. Kings in the monarchy time, we have heard how they used to have Vishakanyas. Vishakanya means there were some women who were administered poison from childhood, whose body having immunity to poison, and they used to be sent to kings. The moment they bite them, they are killed. So a person would have been a great king, very strong. But if you see that if a person is loose in nature and some strange girl comes and he wants to have a sex without discrimination, he can also be killed. So a ruler cannot have some loose character so easily that he can get carried away. Ravana just heard about Mother Sita, Lakshmi's beauty, from his sister Surpanaka. He had wife, he had his children, and they were also married. And here, learned scholars of today, they are saying Ravana was very advanced because he never touched Sita. They don't know the real. There are so many curses on Ravana. He was fearful, and that was Treta Yuga. There was not molestation so easily spoken those days. Especially even the Rakshasas who were civilized. He was a grandson of Prajapati. So they were not heard of molesting women, enforcing them, and they are talking that as great character. Some scholars are saying until Surpanaka was attacked by Lakshmana, Ravana, he never wanted to kidnap Sita. So they are considered to be like some great character. Such a shameful situation, and they are glorifying those things. Ravana was great because of his material civilization, acceptable. But it was a materialistic advancement of civilization which the Vedic life was not appreciating. The sages used to give up that life and walk into the forest. That was a bodily conception of life. And who can be glorifying Ravan of that character? Ravan had discrimination of knowledge. Not only Ravan, even Hiranyakashipu was a great scholar. Veda means knowledge actually. So even see, Ravana was so much of having knowledge, not by what modern scientists have thought. So by Vedic literature, you can accept spirituality or you can accept even materialistic life. So people think that only today what we are advancement of science is called science. No, Ravana also was a great scientist, modern scientist, but he never accepted Lord Narayana, Lord Rama. He wanted to steal Mother Lakshmi. So you should be a person of discrimination, otherwise you don't know what is right and what is wrong. That is exactly told in the Bhagavad Gita in the 16th chapter, Daiva Asura Ganaha. A demonic person, a learned person, or a person of knowledge, he knows how to discriminate between matter and spirit. Pravritim cha nivritim cha janana vidur asura means pravriti nivritti means what has to be done and what should not be done. These are not known to asuras, because asuras think that they can do anything, but people of knowledge know what exactly has to be done. There was one more person going behind Mother Sita, not only Ravan. Who was that? Hanuman. Hanuman also went in search of Sita. He also went and met Sita. But what was his idea? His idea was to bring Mother Sita to Lord Rama. That is the right way of Vedic science. That you take Mother Sita, Mother Lakshmi, and offer it to the service of the Lord Narayana. Or artificially, if you are trying to keep Mother Sita or Mother Lakshmi, thinking that I am not enjoying her, I have kept it safe, far away in bank. I will not use it, I am very stingy. No sir, the money will not be with you. You will die. Money may be very safe in the bank, but you will not be there to enjoy that money. You will become old and you will die. So this is wisdom. Like Ravana is a great man because he never touched Sita, and that is being given some interpretation by one scholar. That doesn't make Ravana great. Ravana was great because of his birth, but Ravana was not great because of his character. That's why in the Bhagavad Gita, the Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudras are called not by birth, Guna Karma Vibhagashaha. By their qualities, they are being considered as Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra. Brahmana means a person of knowledge just by taking birth. Ravana also was called Brahmana Vipra. He was also twice born according to his birth. He had a very high birth. But according to Vedic civilization, just birth is not important. Your character is important. It is said, Chandalapi Dvijashreshta. If you are a person of a great quality, of a great character, you can become a spiritual master, you can become a guru. Valmiki was a hunter. Valmiki was given a post of a great sage. Vedavyasa, he is glorified. Vyasa Purnima is there, Guru Purnima we celebrate. But he was the son of Parashara Muni. But who was his mother? His mother was Satyavati. She was a fisher woman. The Vedic civilization, if you see great sages, they were not by just birth. They may have a father or mother from some sage, but they are basically coming from good characters. Guna Karma Vibhagashaha. So Ravana cannot be glorified because of his birth. Ravana cannot be glorified because of his great education, because of his materialistic tendencies. Then you have to glorify Hitler. He killed so many people. You can glorify Hiroshima, Nagasaki bombing. They bombed so nicely by atomic research. Is this a way of discrimination of a scholar? The scholar is speaking and he is saying, Ravana is a great man for what? He kidnapped Sita, he never touched her. You cannot touch a woman by force. He wanted to marry her. Is that something great? That is great maybe for a person like a dog. A dog is going and jumping on the other dog. So that is called to be so, they are controlled or what? They are supposed to be controlled. That is expected from them. So this cannot be glorified like that. He had an opportunity to elevate himself. He was supposed to be of a higher character. And that should be told that he failed to follow something which he could have been done because of his high character. But he did not do that. He wanted to be great by illicit activity which ruined his whole life. The greatest sinful activity he did was to capture somebody else's wife, and this is called as aggressors. Aggressor means not only in the Vedic life, even in the modern life, if somebody says, I am capturing your wife, I am keeping her in my house, I will not touch her. Is that acceptable? So these are called aggressors and they can be killed and there is no sin. And in the Vedic life you can kill them, and even in the modern life you can kill them. And according to law, if somebody is trying to kidnap your son or daughter or your wife, you can catch them for self-protection. If you kill, you are excused. So this kind of indiscrimination, a person of a characterless philosophers who don't describe anything with character, and they are glorifying a character of Ravan which is wrong, and that cannot be glorified in Ramayana as he is great. We can definitely glorify his great birth, we can glorify his great wisdom of knowledge what he was having, but it was left only to materialistic life. He never applied spiritually, and his whole life got ruined because he kidnapped Mother Sita. You cannot touch others' wife. Matrivat paradareshu. Chanakya Pandita, he says how you should never touch others' wife. You will become a characterless person. You are making her a prostitute. You are becoming yourself a prostitute. The modern age, they say, you can wear any dress you want. A man can go with any girl, a girl can go with any boy. You can fix some date and you can go and move around with them, and that is advancement of life. But you should know, even in the modern terminology, a prostitute is never respected. They may go around with prostitutes, male prostitute or female prostitute. A girl may want a male prostitute, man may want a female prostitute. But without character, which girl in the world wants a man with 10 girls going around? She always wants a man with ideal character. She wants a man who can honor her, only respect her, feel for her, love her, selflessly. All these characters are mentioned in Bhagavad Gita, a person of knowledge, a person of character. That time, when we say we are modern, this and all will not come. But there is an expectation that we want people with high character, high values. That is Gita life. That is our Bhagavad Gita values. So if you want to have a life of discrimination, then you can grow. But here in the Bhagavad Gita it is mentioned that lust is a kind of thing that even if you have a life of discrimination, there may be pitfalls. Like Vishwamitra Muni, he was trying to control his senses 60,000 years in Satya Yuga. In materialistic life, there are competitors. Like Ravana was a competitor for Devatas. So Devatas were very fearful of Ravana because of his tapasya shakti. Tapasya means austerity. By tapasya, you can achieve, you can go beyond your karma. Like Brahma, when he was created, he came from the abdomen of Vishnu. From the abdomen, a lotus stem sprouted out, and from there Brahma came out. And Brahma, when he came out, he could not see anything around him. There was water and lotus. He cannot see Vishnu. He went down and searched everything around the water, that lotus stem, and he again came back and sat in his lotus. He didn't know what he had to do. He doesn't know who is he. He started thinking, who am I? Then he heard a word, tapaha. Tapaha means tapasya. So he started meditation. And when he meditated, tene brahma vridaya adi kavaye. So when in his heart, the Lord gave knowledge. The knowledge was revealed in the heart of the Lord Brahma. Like when you do hard work every day, when you work out in the gymnasium, you get some muscles. When you work out how to control your mind, how to be studious, you can, by working every day, your hard mind controlling your senses. This tapasya shakti is there only in human beings. This human being has a very special power of tapasya. And this tapasya can be done for sense enjoyment. to make your body strong or to get elevated to the higher planets, heavenly planets, and there also enjoy again heavenly kingdom. So this human form of life, you have junction. Just like the railway junction is there, from there, like in Puri, if you want to come, there is a Kurda road, there is one railway station. From there, either you can go to Bhubaneswar, capital city, or to go to Jagannath Puri. Just like there is a railway junction, this human body also, there is a junction. If you want, you can go back to animal life. There are 84 lakh species. Or you can get elevated to the higher planetary system. You can go to Indraloka, Chandraloka, Brahmaloka. That is one way. Or you can give up this materialistic body and go back to your real life, Vaikunta. Vaikunta means Vikataha Kuntaha, means a spiritual world which is having no anxiety. In this materialistic world is all compared to a jail. People who don't want God, they are forced to be in the shackles of Maya. In the other higher planets, we say Swarga. Swarga means heaven. But heaven is not our goal of life. For a spiritualist, heaven is not all in all. You go to heaven, there also you are having lust and greed. Maybe you will have a higher body to enjoy. There you will have higher body, your sufferings are less. You have more subtle enjoyment. But when there are pious souls who go to heavenly planets, they understand why we have come here. We are struck with this heavenly body, and before I complete all my pious body, let me go back to the human body, because human body has a good junction to practice spirituality. And from spirituality, you can elevate yourself to go back to a spiritual world. In this material world, Ekamsheno Sthito Jagat. Spiritual world is 75% of the creation, where there are souls without this body, engagement of this body. And the 1/4 of creation is the material world, which consists of 14 planetary systems. Siddhaloka, Swargaloka, Bhuvarloka, and this Bhuloka is the middle planetary system. And there are lower planetary systems, Atala, Vitala, Sutala, Patala, Talatala. There are lower planetary systems. So lower planetary systems are more gross systems. They have no sunlight. And the sunlight reaches up to these middle planetary systems. So even if you take birth in higher planetary system in Brahmaloka or Indraloka or Chandraloka, you finish your life. After that you have to again come back to this earth only. That is what is mentioned in the Bhagavad Gita. Abrahma Bhuvanan Loka Punaravartino Arjuna. You have to come back to this earth. Just like a city where there is jail. The jail is temporary. The real house is there. Similarly, the spiritual world is always there. And 25% of the creation is materialist world. So even if you know all this, if you are a person of discrimination, still you may have to take birth in this world. There are people in the higher planetary systems like Indra who are worried that you may get higher pious life and take away their post. See, in this materialistic world, not only in this world where you will be thinking that who will occupy the post. Like in India, there are politics happening between two parties. Doesn't end up in India. In America, political parties are campaigning. It doesn't end up here. In the higher planetary system also, there is political campaigning, but the campaigning is not based on votes. It is based on punya, pious activities, tapasya. So you can go to higher planetary system, not on votes, but on tapasya you do in this world. So Vishwamitra was doing tapasya, and Indra sent Menaka so that he doesn't get the higher punya to go to his planet, to become king of that planet. So we have to know people of discrimination also may get carried away if you have materialistic goal. Sages were also having pious activities. And a spiritualist, a devotee also has pious activity. Like here they are given explanation. A practical example is given by Sri Yamunacharya, a great saint and devotee who says, since my mind, Yadavadi, Mama Krishna Padara Vinde, what he is saying is, my mind is always Krishna Padara Vinde, the lotus feet of Krishna. It's enjoying Nava Nava Rasa. It's enjoying so much of taste, new transcendental humor, that whenever I think of sex life, my face at once turns and I spit at that thought. You see, when you enjoy spirituality, a higher consciousness develops, which you feel this materialistic life is useless. That is higher transcendental. Even if you meditate for thousands of years in the materialistic platform, you are enjoying for higher sex, in higher planets, with higher enjoyment. That is not called spirituality. You do tapasya to go and get a higher materialistic life. Ravana was like that. And even in the modern terms, if somebody is doing tapasya, for what? You are going to higher planets to enjoy this materialistic life. What is the use? You will again take birth, again and again and again take birth. So human form of life is appreciated because this life you can get rid of this sense enjoyment, and spiritual path is not to enjoy either in this human form or in the next life you take birth in the heavenly planets. The spiritual life is to get rid of this and go to the spiritual world where you have relationship with God in 5 primary rasas, as a servant of the Lord, or as a father of the Lord, or as a friend of the Lord. There are 5 primary rasas, and there are other secondary rasas. With all this enjoyment in the spiritual world, not this materialistic world. So whether you become a Ravana, or you become Vishwamitra Muni, or you want to go to the higher planets, that is not success of spirituality according to Bhagavad Gita. Bhagavad Gita speaks about higher knowledge, higher wisdom to go back to Godhead. So it is said Maharaj Ambarisha also conquered a great yogi Durvasa Muni simply because his mind was engaged in Krishna consciousness. This Bhagavad Gita is teaching us a higher knowledge where you can go above these so-called saints also, higher yogis also, because our goal is not to enjoy in this world. Great yogis also, after being of discrimination, they may also shake and go away from their path. But a person of knowledge who are in devotion to the lotus feet of the Lord, they can easily get higher life by meditating on the lotus feet of the Lord, which is what is being desired by great sages. We'll continue more. Jai Jagannath.